Welcome back to Sea Power. Welcome back to part 4 of the Wolfpack missions. In this part, we still have a couple of surface targets left. We detected 3 more, and I still have some anti-ship capability left, at least in the form of harpoons and cruise missiles, but not that much. So I gotta be a bit more strategic in my targeting. Let's see if I can get that done. At this point, I have detected the contacts again. I know it's 2 semi-large and 1 very large. Seeing as the scenario wrote of Kirovs, I'm thinking this very large might very well be the second Kirov. So now we are left with another am I going to underspend or overspend question. Harpoons are notoriously interested in big radar signatures. That means if I launch my harpoons at this group, it's entirely likely that they'll all go, ooh, big target, big target, big target, big target. And just kind of ignore the other 2. If I don't send enough missiles, I have a pretty good chance that the Kirov's gonna just shoot everything down, especially with their friends. So they'll be very capable of coming away unscathed. If I overspend, I'll not have anything left. So I'm gonna try and go for something a little middle ground-ish. I'm first gonna start sending Tomahawk land attackers, because that'll keep them distracted for a while. After that, I want to start sending a bunch of harpoons and see how well they treat those. Not that they'll roll out the red carpet or anything, but I want to see how well they're able to defend against that. And I'm thinking of keeping about 20 to 30% in reserve. How many we got left? 4.
Confirmed. We'll go.
There. Now I'm going to send a couple south. Let's go with a full salvo of 4 and 4. And I'm very much hoping that they will get distracted. I need to wait a little bit for those tomahawks to get clear before throwing too many more harpoons out, because they will keep up. And not only keep up, they will overtake them. Let's give it a salvo 2.
We'll go. Confirmed.
And 2. Especially important that I don't launch everything at the same time. Give it a salvo 2.
Roger that.
Ideally that one.
7209. Salvo
What sort of launchers you got? Just your standard harpoons, right? Yeah. You should get your standard harpoons launcher. Okay, good.
Bulldog away. Track.
Okay, shared launch delay, that's fine. Send some more. We still got more. And I think harpoons are a little less potent than the tomahawks.
Engage track 720. Engaging track.
Send another 2.
Bulldog away. Track 7209.
Callahan are... they're down to 4. You got 4. Mobile still has 8. Let's send a few more. I'm gonna send another 4. If it all slams into the same target, yeah, you know, tough.
Engage track. Engage track.
Let's go.
7209. Salvo fire.
That's a lot of launch delay. Oh, my game's frozen up again. Hello? Oh no. Phew, thank God. I thought the game was gonna crash right there. Okay, this should give the Soviet ships, whatever the hell they are, enough to worry about. They don't currently have their radar active. And I wonder if I can jam them. Probably not, because they're way beyond the horizon. So unfortunately that won't work. If I'm feeling like some of these ships have been damaged enough, I can always go after them with Harriers. It's not a great option, but if their air defense capabilities have been diminished, the Harriers are going to have at least a slightly better chance of survival. First though, let's skip ahead to when these missiles get there. Here we go. Bring on the storm. We are looking at 3 targets. That's all I can see on the horizon, so my radar is right. We're looking at the harpoons, which are actively seeking out their targets, and of course the land attackers are just kind of dumbfire missiles following their course. But if they're not intercepted, it is possible that some of them might accidentally slam into a ship. And we got quite a few intersecting lines there. A couple of these guys have decided that they want to engage this, the trailing ship, so that's fine. This, with its large pyramid, I'd say is very much a Kirov. So that is in line with that very large contact we were predicting. As for these cruise missiles, they are interested in shooting some of them down, but not all. We have a very eager harpoon here, and this is why I try to launch these things slightly later, because they're so fast. Ooh, that got close. They're not nearly as close as a Soviet missile, of course, but they are slightly faster than something like a Tomahawk. This thing is leading a blessed life so far. I'm surprised it got as close as it did. Also, with the positioning of the Kirov, their stern Sea Whiz is not able to actually join the fight. Pop up. Where's their Sea Whiz? What the hell? I didn't hit this guy yet. Oh, they're going for chaff. So, I don't really see why the Kirov would not use any kind of close-in. There we go. That's a nice shot, by the way. Like their Sea Whiz. They still don't have their radars active, is that it? That would be a curious course of action. I think the Kirov is done for. This guy also isn't having his best day. And we've also hit the trailing one, I think. Or at least we're about to. That is, if this thing doesn't eat chaff. Pretty good. Go up. Meanwhile, we're slamming another missile into this one. There you go. Now you. That's gonna cost you your torpedo launcher and probably your engineering spaces. Consider hostile. Ooh, this land attacker got close. If this ship would have been taller, I probably would have hit it. I'm actually extremely surprised about how well these harpoons performed. Because I thought they were all going to go for the very large, i.e. the Kirov, but they're not. They are, in fact, spreading themselves out across targets, because I told them to go for these 3 different ships. And I think that we'll be able to eliminate all of them. We are getting multiple air contacts, so I do need to look into that. We still got 2 more harpoons, and basically if you hit a ship once, it's kinda done for. Not so much it'll be instantly destroyed, but its capabilities of self-defense are severely diminished. Air contacts? I don't see it. No, I don't see it. Look at that nest of sonar buoys. At this point, it's kind of a stealth was here signature. If you can see that many sonar buoys, it probably means I was around. Alright. I think the surface ships are done for. We still got 6.5 hours of sail left. So let's continue laying sonar buoys and wait for these guys to sink. Alright. Of course the Kirov had to survive. Now, as I was getting a bit bored with how long this mission is going to be, I decided to send in 3 Harriers. This is what the LHAs call Seed Harriers. No, they don't have strike missiles. No, they don't have jammers. Who needs any of that gear? We got cluster bombs, Rockeyes, CBU-100s. So, to that end, these 3 boys are armed with 6 bombs. I have ordered them to be in a, let's say, a spread out formation. And I'm going to make sure that these boys are in a formation pattern, line astern. That should line them up nicely behind me, while also making sure that one hit isn't going to nuke everybody. I'm flying in very low, 53 feet. Trying to stay below the radar horizon of that surface ship as long as I can. I'm not sure what their capabilities are. Spade 1-2.
Roger, go to altitude.
Spade 1-2. Something about radar horizons and shit.
Roger, turn. Roger,
I guess he missed that memo.
Turn 272.
Well, I guess they might know I'm bound to arrive. You're also flying up way too high, dude.
Roger, go to altitude. 50.
Oh well. If I can deliver a couple of cluster bombs, that ought to be the end of the Kirov. I have sunk an aircraft carrier with cluster bombs. Yes, it's a tale for a different day. That was when I was engaging the... oh, what was that? The Orel, I think, in Greece. And I used a couple of cluster bombers, A6 or A7s, to do it. Weird mission. And I was very much dumbfounded with how well those things actually did in the sheer destruction of that ship. Let's see if I can get a repeat performance with a couple of cluster bombs. And I don't carry nearly as many. And I hope that I don't have to pop up a whole lot, because that Seawiz is most likely going to chew me to very little bits. If it is still functional. And that is the question. Because you can see that this ship, it doesn't really have much of its radar system anymore, or at least it's not using all of it. And aside from that, it is fairly likely that we will also see this ship have all sorts of damage, not just to its radar, but also to its weapon systems at large. I really wonder what you're gonna drop this at 50 feet?
Roger, turn 1, 2,
What?
3.
No. Oh, come on, it's like the game has some sort of massive built-in lag at the moment. There we go. Climbing. I cannot really select Spade 2 in a moment.
Turn 1, 8, 2.
What? Oh, you still got Seawiz, huh? At least some of it. Come on, Harrier. I believe in you. Oh, your Seawiz on the stern is also functional. Well, that's bad news. Bombs away.
Buoy away.
No. You flew over a fucking Kirov and you didn't drop your bombs? What is wrong with you?
Engage track.
Yes, please.
207.
What the hell? What on earth are you even trying to do?
Roger. Ceasefire track. Bombs away.
Ah, good. At least somebody's paying attention.
Roger, RTB. Roger, turn 1.
Come on, please don't miss.
1. Roger,
Got some distance.
0. Roger,
Buster. Come on. It might not be using missiles, but even as a gun platform, this thing is fucked. I was gonna say scary, but
Roger, turn 1, 5.
more where that came from, please.
Engaging track.
More where that came from,
720.
please, because this guy. I want to see that again. I want to see that again.
Roger, go to altitude 20.
Let's see if it's developed a brain by now. There we go. Performing pop-up. You're not kidding. 3,000 feet? Dive attack! Yes. Party like it's 1944. He's still shooting. Bombs away.
Roger.
Run away. Come on.
Hit track.
Yes.
7207.
Is it enough?
Roger, RT.
Beats me.
Control, eject, eject.
Ah, Spade 1 got hit. I don't know. Is it enough? Let's make sure they're gone.
Bulldog away. Track.
At this point, I really don't believe they'll have a whole lot of defenses left.
Bulldog away.
They're burning in several locations.
Track. 7,
So damage control party is definitely going to have a, well, a bit of a blast with that. No pun intended. I really hope that this is going to be the end of it. I just want to make my way towards the exit. And there she goes. Sinking, finally. Just for good measure, we are going to throw 4 more harpoons into the side of her. But at this point, well, stop kicking it, it's already dead. The same cannot necessarily be said about all the submarines, because we still have a couple, what, like a couple dozen miles between us? Yeah. 12 dozen, in fact. So we still need to make sure there's no submarine lying eagerly in wait as we close towards Iceland. Yeah, that safe passage ain't gonna happen anytime soon. There's another ship out there. Or several. I'm not sure what it is, but it briefly popped into view. And now I need to figure out exactly what that is. So up we go. I need to first figure out where it is, then with how many it is, and finally how big of a threat it is. It's only a medium. But that doesn't necessarily discard from the fact that it can be dangerous. Because a missile boat can also be a medium and as such very dangerous target. I am done asking questions about the Russians and their intentions, so we're just going to send out 4 harpoons and see what comes out the other end. But my harpoon supply is running dangerously low. Callahan still has 4, Mobile is empty, Bunker Hill is empty. Antietam has 2. Scott has 0. And then we got the Bellawood and the Tarawa, which have none. So that's fun. I'm also not terribly excited about inspecting this thing with another Harrier, because it might very well find itself going down pretty quickly. Although at the moment it doesn't have a radar active. I'm just picking it up on mine. Still. Let's hope I'm not sinking a civilian tanker, though. You know, that's always a possibility. How are we doing? 26 miles out. 25. 24. 21. 18. 15. 12. Yeah, it's just one solitary ship. 7. 6. Yep, that thing's packing. That's SAN-4s. Why are you out here by yourself? You are not part of this group. You are not part of that group. Are you part of another group? Is there more that I should be worrying about? Because I really hope not. That's a lot of missiles, General. Yeah, multiple hostile airs. I'm picking up their SAMs. They're making a good effort. Unfortunately for them, so far, they have not really succeeded in even killing off one harpoon. One got spoofed, though. Going up. Going down. With that many more missiles in tow, this thing should be dead. Krivac 2, instantly destroyed. What were you thinking, anyway? Why was a Krivac trying to approach my formation of cruisers and carriers? Well, assault ships. Weird. Anyway, he will not be bothering us again. Another harpoon strikes for the dramatic effect. We're not done. 3 more ships popped up. I have 6 harpoons. I also have my assortment of surface-to-air missiles, which can double as surface-to-surface. So, yeah, we're gonna have to get creative. And yes, there are the Harriers, but you've kind of seen what happened with Kirov. So what we're gonna do, throw 6 harpoons at the lead contact, 7246. See how well that works. If it doesn't work, we're going to go for plan B, which is SAMs and Harriers. If it does work, they will have lost a third of their firepower, and potentially with that, the ability to stave off further attacks. So we're going to go with a Salvo 4. Lead target, pause briefly, because I believe somebody else also had missiles. Who was it? Scott? No. You. Alright. So your last 2 missiles onto the lead target. And let's see how well they do. And meanwhile, I was able to lay sonar buoys fairly close to these guys, about 30 miles out. So that means that A, they're unaware of the helos. B, they either don't care, or they're unable to engage them. I'm not 100% on which one it is, but it is an interesting bit of information that they don't have their radars on. Because that does mean that they will not be as capable as they could be to see those missiles inbound. Right now, they're just going to have to rely upon the, the Mark 1 eyeball to see the missiles coming in. And then turn the whole circus back on, get every radar blaring, and potentially eliminate some of those missiles. Okay, let's get you taken over, because I'm still tracking these guys? There, I was, because the Sea Sprite just went out of range. Alright, so you're going to take up Sea Sprite position. You are also coming home, and you're going to go out there. What is with these freezes? I don't mind long missions. They're alright, just so long as the game remains stable enough to continue. That'd be perfect. But these freezes are getting increasingly long, and it's getting scary. 9 miles out. 6 harpoons. Potentially massive overkill. Potentially they'll start waking up right about now. And they'll go, hold on, what's that? They're just blissfully unaware. 7 miles out. No radar. There. The navigation radar kicked up. And there's the surface to air search radar. Air search on. The rest starts shooting immediately. They're going, hold on, why are there missiles about 5 miles from our ship? Well, because somebody wasn't paying attention. And now you're paying the price. Now you're paying a hefty price, potentially. Oh, you're going for the chaff. You are not. Get through, get through, get through. Up. And nail it. With this little of an anti-air response, at least this late, potentially I could have gotten multiple ships hit. Boom. What? You missed by a few meters? What happened? That hit. What the hell happened? Up. That last missile should be going in. There you go. You are... what? You're another... cash-in or cannon? I always get those things confused.
Hit track.
Hit.
7, 2, 4, 6.
And another one. Not very creative in the amount of targets that we're seeing, but okay. These things don't really have a lot of standoff capability. I'm going to push the formation just essentially right through them. And we're going to engage them with standard missiles. That way I don't have to risk Harriers, because I think they will shoot down Harriers. They will not shoot down 90 standard missile 2s. Ideally, of course, you engage at maximum range, but look at how far that circle drops once you actually try to engage in a direct anti-ship roll. It just doesn't do it that well. So we'll have to close the distance. A lot later, they've closed at 21 miles and 22.89 miles, and that means they're now in range. So, we're going to give them a salvo 4, and we're going to give them...
7, 2, 4, 8. Engaging track. 7,
What?
2, 4, 7. Salvo fire.
Target too far? There we go.
Bulldog away. Track.
They're immediately responding to my surface-to-air missiles, which are doubling as surface-surface missiles with their own surface-to-air missiles. The interesting thing is, my surface-to-air missiles are, of course, much faster than a Harpoon. So they also essentially get less time to intercept, and these missiles are getting jammed by virtue of my offensive ECM. So I don't think they're going to get a whole lot done. I also have a couple of aircraft up here, Nightmares 2 and 3, and over here I have Nightmare 1 and Spade 1. These boys are packing cluster bombs and Mark 82s or 3s, and thus should be able to land the final blow. That is, if there are any final blows that need to be landed. Because I think that these guys already got a little bit more damage than they originally bargained for. Let's get in there.
Hostile air. Contacts detected.
Yeah, we're seeing some hostile air. That's just their surface-to-air missiles. It's nothing spectacular.
Roger. Turn.
Where's their target? There, cash in. Alright. 7247. It's 2 Mark 83s. And that's what we're throwing. So a mix of cluster and regular bombs. And I think that they're... well... they're going to have enough issues as is. That cash-in is gone. Switch target, 7248. They might not be around by the time that my aircraft get there, though. These things... I thought for a second they were shooting at my ships, but they're not. They were just sent out there to deal with, I think, my missiles. Unsuccessfully so. Come on. Get the finishing blow in, because I can easily rearm you. I can't exactly rearm my cruisers on the way there. Range, 6 miles. If they had missiles, they'd have sent them by now. I'm not seeing any radar information from them. Oh, another secondary explosion. Oh, actually, it might not be missiles, but their guns still work. Well, that should make this more exciting. At least the Harrier pilots will be able to brag about some stuff. Just I hope I don't lose a Harrier. That was entirely preventable, yes, I know. But it's a game. One has to have some fun. Survive. Bombs away. And all enemies destroyed on your way. There's no threat in the way to the US coast. You win! I'm not going to the US, though. I am going to Iceland. Interesting. I think that this was in response to a previous comment I made on a previous video that said I'd like it if there was a way to just have all ships be destroyed and then you instantly, say, complete your mission. So you don't have to get all the way over there. I think this is that, but he copied the text over from a previous mission. So while we are trying to reach Iceland, the trigger still says you reached the US. Anyway, I think that was a rather successful mission. We have a decisive victory. I did lose a few units. Unfortunately. That is 8 Harriers that went down. And that is it. No helicopters, no ships, nothing. With all the firepower that they brought to bear, that could have been a heck of a lot worse. So I'm glad for this result. Now, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you for making the scenario to the creator. And I shall see you guys soon for more Sea Power.